So, welcome everybody to the Australian Hypnosis Conference. My name is Trish Pellin, and I am here today with Rebekah Fisher. And you're going to be talking about hypnotherapy for birth.
Yes.
Tell me more, because I know we've discussed this before, but hypnotherapy specifically for birth, tell me more about that.
Yeah. Well, for me, I'd already had four children. So, and I had a natural birth, and then I became
Every time.
yeah, every time.
Woo!
So, and my sons, I actually delivered myself. So,
Yeah,
because I was so in the zone, I
yeah,
was really relaxed. I just surrendered to the process. And I guess what I would say was that I was fearless. Like I didn't have fear or overwhelming anxiety.
yeah.
Um, and then when I became a doula, like 20 years after my first birth or whatever. And I was like, oh, wow. And then, that was amazing to learn how to support couples through the birthing experience,
Yeah.
be a birth educator.
Hmm.
And then my mentor started learning about hypnobirthing. So she
Hmm.
created this hypnodoula course.
Hmm.
And for me, I was like, oh my God, this is so cool because it really helps women learn how to create that safe place, go into
Yeah.
the birthing zone, get out of the monkey mind, get out of
Yeah.
what's going to happen to my baby is what's happening, this inner dialogue that goes on because we're either feeling anxiety, which is,
Yeah.
and again, it's so natural to feel anxiety.
Yeah.
You,
Especially if it's a first time.
oh,
It's not like you get a
100%.
practice run and you can go, I don't like this, I don't want to do it anymore. Like,
No, totally. And I think what's difficult too as a society is that we don't grow up with a healthy imprint of birth,
not
right?
especially with television. Like,
Exactly.
you always see this woman just screaming in agony and
It's always
always
dramatic.
traumatic. Yeah,
Yeah, and
yeah,
traumatic. Yeah.
yeah,
And on so many levels, like birth is, I mean, it is a profound experience. It will shape you forever. You never forget it. Women say, oh, I forget, but you don't really forget. I think women are still in denial or shock, and that's
yeah. Well,
totally
you can't blame them. I mean, we watched ER growing up, and then all of a sudden, it was like it had a place.
totally, exactly. So, and I feel again, like I was really blessed. I grew up in Papua New Guinea where women would just go to the side of the river or go into the heart, or, there'd be a group of women around them and they'd all get this baby born.
Yeah, yeah,
Right.
yeah,
So, and then you kind of, you grow up and like my mum had, well, there's seven of us. So, she was always pregnant, but hers were very medicalized.
yeah,
There was a
yeah.
lot of fear and a lot of anxiety, which even at a young age, I was like, wow, this is so different. Like, mum, why can't you just walk out and just, sit
Yeah,
by the side of a river
yeah.
and pop out a baby? These were the things that was going on in my little head,
Yeah, and that kind of makes sense because the medical industry is amazing. Like, it has its place, it does
Oh,
some
totally.
great stuff, but I think also it takes away our natural ability and our natural trust in ourselves.
100%. I
You know?
totally agree with you. And what happens with birth, and which is why hypnotherapy can become such a powerful tool, is that it helps you to really tap into your personal power. It helps
Mm,
you tap into and it supports this, positive self-belief that I
yeah,
believe in my body, I believe I can
and you
do
can
it.
trust your
And guess
body.
what? If something does go wrong, because sometimes it does, and that's what I learned being a doula for 20
Hmm.
years, actively being present at births. Not
Yeah.
everybody, sadly, gets the outcome that they thought. And
Mm,
the other powerful thing with hypnobirthing is I found so many more women trust in the messages that they're getting, even when there is something wrong.
yeah,
I
yeah.
think that's fundamentally something that I like to teach because I think early on everyone was like, let's create the most perfect, perfect, perfect birth, which puts so much pressure.
God,
That
I can
I'm
only
not going to
imagine.
experience pain, or I'm going to be
Yeah.
able to birth my baby in 5 hours because
Oh,
I've done yogic breathing and hypnobirthing.
yeah, yeah.
And look, some women will, and that's not to take away from that. Like I had four amazing experiences, and I was, a lot of people thought I was a freak because I didn't feel. I'm happy to be the birth freak.
I'm the widow.
A bit freaky, super freaky. So again, like I wasn't scared. I went with the flow. I trusted. And now what I realized at the time is that I had a vision, and I taught myself progressive relaxation over a number of months. I kept coming back to my breath. I kept coming back to center. I kept coming back to my belief that I can do this, or that I would be able to make the best decision in the face of something going pear-shaped.
In
That I was able to trust my birth team. And I think this is something that's fundamentally important,
Yeah.
because if you go into birth, and look, let's face it, most women are choosing to birth in a hospital system.
Yes. Yes.
I was the natural birther that would swing from the chandeliers being so evangelistic to now going, where's her epidural? Like, come on, she's hit 4 centimeters and she's had enough, and
Yeah.
she's got, what your posterior labor, that baby's not coming out her for JJ. Let's get on with this kind of thing, because you understand the patterns being, I've supported for so long. And again, this capacity to be able to trust and go, well, all right,
That's a
I
big
do
thing.
need some help. I
Trust.
actually
Trust
do
your
need
body.
some support. And that doesn't make us failures.
No.
That doesn't mean you've failed and you're not a warrior, birth warrior goddess, and, all these kind of little, I don't know, women can feel a lot of shame if they haven't felt like they've really roared and owned that experience.
Yeah, like somebody else took the role for them rather than them just doing it
Yeah.
naturally. In your experience, do you believe that this natural birth, like this relaxed and beautiful state, can actually help create a healthier child as
Oh,
well?
yes, 100%. Yes.
100%.
No,
Because like you hear of people that are like, oh, I had a traumatic birth and then the baby just cried all the time. And there's got to be some kind of trauma related to the child coming into the world in
100%.
this unnatural environment. Like I understand, birthing in a hospital is safe, blah, 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 but it's
Yes,
still unnatural and you're not
yes,
trusting your body and you've got all these chemicals pumping through you.
yes.
Like that's got to create some kind of trauma, surely, for the
It
child.
does. It really does, because you've just got too much adrenaline pumping through your body. And
Yeah.
and then, so many women are giving birth in the fight or flight response.
Yeah,
Some
yeah.
of them are really freezing. And then what that does is it puts them in their own heads,
It's got to contract everything
and
too, right?
everything contracts. So
Yeah.
and this is what I get my clients to imagine in their sessions. It's like, all right, let's imagine that hit. If you're starting to contract all those muscles
Hmm.
because you're afraid, and I totally understand you're afraid,
Hmm.
you're going to keep that baby's head in there longer than necessary.
Yeah.
And then
And
to
they're all
say
squishy
that,
already.
yeah, they are squishy, but and that's because just everything contracts, and you go up
Yeah.
into your head, and then you actually energetically start to disconnect from your baby,
Oh,
because your
yeah.
baby is suddenly a threat.
Yeah,
Your
yeah,
body is suddenly, it's in so much so-called pain
yeah,
that everything around you, you're like, get away from me,
yeah,
and you can't think, and women then can lose it. And hence
yeah,
that's this spiraling effect and this feeling of loss of control.
yeah. I've also been
Where,
told it's a different kind of pain as well.
oh yeah, totally.
So
Yeah.
it's not like something that we can simulate or anything
No,
like
although
that.
they've
It's
tried, like I've seen some on TikTok and Insta, where they got these guys with these, sensors on, and they're like, oh.
I've seen those things and I'm like, is it really like that? Like, oh, I don't know. Like it's not something I think I'll strap to me, give me a whirl. Like,
Yeah, no, no.
oh
Well,
gosh.
I mean, I lived with endometriosis kind of for a long time. So for me, when I went into labor, I was like, oh, that's what this is all about. Like, okay, I can handle
Right.
this. It
Right.
can't get much worse. Like,
Yeah.
and that
Yeah.
was my reference point. It was like, okay, I actually can do this.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
is there a lot of fear around, like, the woman perhaps losing the baby? Because statistically, we
Oh,
know the
yeah,
loss of a child is actually quite slim these days,
yes.
but
But it
there's a,
still happens.
Yeah. Oh, well, absolutely.
And I
Yeah.
feel the fear. Thanks for asking that question. Oh, this is so cool. I love diving into birth because what I feel energetically,
Mhm,
again, when we talk about, we carry our ancestors' DNA within us, etc., etc., etc.
mhm, mhm.
So, down the line, we've had ancestors die during childbirth.
Yeah, yeah,
So at a
yeah.
cellular level, there is a cellular memory somewhere of
Absolutely.
someone. If you just look at it like
Yeah.
from that perspective,
Mhm.
then there is within us a cellular memory somewhere
Yeah.
of an ancestor dying.
Yeah.
You know,
Absolutely.
so
Absolutely.
I
And
feel this is why we've got to be more compassionate and
yes,
gentle
slow it
with
down.
ourselves. Going, do you know how deep? And that's why hypnotherapy can be so powerful, to
Yeah,
be able to go
absolutely.
so deeply and go, you know what, I don't need to go there. I'm going to stay here in this safe place and fill it with light and trust. And
Yeah.
oh, that's intense. But hey, and get a bit of space and
Mhm.
whilst you're giving birth so that
Yeah.
you're not losing it. And the thing is with natural birth, when you're really present, you don't lose consciousness. You're so you might not be able to speak to people because you're in such a
Like
trance.
you're in a different trance state.
You're in
Yeah,
a
yeah.
different state. You're so self-aware. You're so aware. You're like, oh, I better go
Leveling
like
up.
this because, oh, hang on a minute. That subtle movement will open the cervix another 2 centimeters or something.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
very intuitive.
I have to admit, it has to be intuitive because even when I was a massage therapist, like I was a remedial
Oh,
massage therapist for like 15 years, and people would be like, oh, well, what stretches should I do? And it's like, when you feel
yes,
it in your body, you will naturally move and you
totally.
naturally know how to stretch it. I'll
Yeah,
give you some advice and some guidance, but if you need to go just a centimeter this way, then trust your body.
lean
And
into it. Yeah.
yeah, and it must be the same with birthing, like,
It is. You got to
lean into
lean
it.
into those things. And
Yeah.
the
Even
thing
though the
is,
doctor's going, don't do that. Just
yeah, you got to lean in. And that's what it's interesting because watching birth for so long, like I've been watching women give birth and, observing and having 50 million questions. And I still have that after,
yeah,
all these years.
yeah, yeah,
So for many, many years, I feel that it's such a powerful experience.
yeah.
And again, like when you're giving birth, like there's all these imprints, there's all these, like with the
It's
trauma,
life changing.
it's so, I don't know. And again, what the parents' beliefs are, like the guy, is your partner with you? Is the child feeling you guys together or separate?
Yeah.
Or there's just so many different areas that,
Oh, yeah,
and I feel
yeah.
like with hypnobirthing or the hypnosis, because you can do the hypnotherapy for the birth to
Yes, yes.
manage pain,
Yeah,
to be able to center and regroup and, trust that process, the physical process. But
yeah.
it's incredibly emotional,
Oh, it would have to be. Like, no
right?
doubt. And
Yeah.
then you
So
get given this child at the end, and
yeah,
you're like, okay,
that's
now
like
I've
the
got to do this.
beginning.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. It's like, well,
What
this
do
is just
what
the
do I
start of a new
do?
chapter. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Oh, honestly,
So
I can't.
there's a lot there, and kind of
Yeah.
again being able to lean into I can rather than I can't
Yes.
is such a powerful thing. And
Oh,
um
absolutely.
yeah, so anyway, I could talk forever and ever and ever.
Oh, you're going to an Australian hypnosis conference, honestly, and I can only imagine people are going to have a million questions for you after you've
Yeah,
done your talk. I honestly, I have no doubt about that. So
thank you.
thank you, everybody, for joining in on this session here today. Thank you, Rebekah. I can't wait to hear your talk. I think it's absolutely amazing, like helping women to relax into their natural
Yeah,
selves rather than going with what we've been, kind of trained as society of, well, this is what a birth really looks like and all this sort of
totally.
stuff. So I think it's
Yeah.
just a beautiful, beautiful thing. And you're creating memories and you're
Oh,
changing generations for the future, so absolutely
100%.
amazing, and more therapists need to be trained in this as well. So thank you
I
so
agree.
much for joining me here today, and thank you to Justine Lett for the Golden Thread Protocol. She is our major sponsor for the event. So otherwise from that, I will see everybody at the event, and you can see Rebekah as well and ask her all about hypnosis and the beauty of birth. How's that sound? All right, lovelies. Catch you on the future. Bye-bye.